Hey, welcome back. Okay, so how do we go about installing a new theme in Drupal? Because last screencast, we had a look at the different options available for Bartik. We played around with the settings. We ended up with something that looked a little bit different. We were able to change the colors a bit and do a little customization, but this really isn't doing it for us. We want more changes. We want to be able to control different things. So this is where we're going to play around with the themes. We can choose a new theme. So where do we find new themes? Who makes these themes? How do we access them? There Again, you go back to the Drupal.org site, same place where we went to check out all those modules, those contributed modules, but this time you're going to go to Drupal.org/project/themes, and this brings you to a catalog of thousands of themes that you can sort through, and all of these that are accessible here are free. There are some paid themes, but I honestly think when you first get started, it's nice to stick with the free ones just as you're learning your way around, because at the end of the day, it's actually not that hard to customize some stuff yourself. And so you might not necessarily have to buy a theme. You can just use a free theme and customize it. There's a lot of ways to do that. So I'm at this page right here, and I'd like to start looking how do I go about choosing a theme? Well, just like the modules, remember from a few screencasts ago when we were sorting through modules, one of the first things you need to do is you need to make sure that the theme is compatible for version 7, Drupal 7. So what I've done here is I'm filtering by compatibility. That's all I'm going to do is just filter by 7. I'm going to click search, and this should filter down to now there's about 500 themes available. 500 themes, so that's a lot. A lot of options here. And so what do we have available here? Well, here's some of the most popular ones. Zen is exceptionally popular. Okay, Omega, another adaptive theme. I'm going to skip through here. Here's one right here called Marinelli. Okay, let's say that we're interested in learning more about Marinelli. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one and see what's available. And this page probably looks very similar to the module pages. Do you remember where this is just a page that the project page for Marinelli, the theme Marinelli, and like the module project pages, we have the title up here, and we have a description here along with a little kind of screen capture right here. And so this, it's worth taking the time to read through the description, kind of understand what's going on. Here we see that Marinelli is a 3-column table-less layout theme with a wide image banner and a top tab primary link system. Cool, this is looking pretty neat. There's lots of features listed here. Most of the time, very frequently, you will see a live demo available, and I encourage you to check this out. How else are you going to be able to tell what it looks like? So let's go ahead and click on live demo. And this brings us to kind of a sample site that has implemented this particular theme. And here we see, what do we see here? Okay, we see this. Ooh, that's kind of a nice effect. You can actually click, there's your main navigation. We have this scrolling image thing here. This is really nice. We didn't have that in Bartik. We've got search box up here. We have a secondary menu. What's this? Ooh, look at that, a little slide up and down block. That's really cool. We have all sorts of options. Look, yet another, a secondary level of navigation right here. So that's something that was not available to us with Bartik. And we see here, if we can probably deduce some of the block regions that are going to be available for us. This is a main block. You've got a sidebar first and a sidebar second here. And it looks like there's, even more links down here, another menu that you can put in the footer area down here. So lots of options. So let's say, yeah, I really like this. I'd like to try enabling this on my site. Let's go back and look at this. The installation process is very, very similar, almost identical to the way you would install different modules. Okay, you basically scroll down to the section here that says downloads, and just like when we were choosing the modules, we're trying to figure out which link do we use here. We have to make sure that the version number starts with 7. Okay, so there's the version right there. Likewise, we have to make sure that this has a green background. Okay, if it does not have a green background, I strongly recommend when you're a beginner, don't install it, okay? Because you won't know if things aren't working properly, if it's buggy, and it will be buggy, and if it doesn't work properly, you won't know whether it's you or whether it's the theme itself that's screwing up. And that really is very painful when you're learning something new. So I strongly recommend when you're learning, stick with the recommended releases. So in this case, it starts with a 7. It's got that green background. Okay, let's go back to the appearance page. I never really left this page. I'm still on the appearance page. That's just if I click on this menu item right here, appearance, okay? And we'll see that we have, just like on the modules page, we have a link that says install new theme. Now, just as a reminder, if you got to this page and you don't have that link that says install new theme, remember you need to have the updates module enabled on here. So right here, let's just look for the word updates. There it is, update manager right here. This is part of core. And sometimes it's not enabled by default. You need to enable this and then save configuration in order for that ability to install modules and themes via the web interface. So make sure that that's enabled, okay? Once that's enabled, I'll go back to appearance over here. We can go ahead and click on install new theme, and this is going to start to look really familiar, right? Yeah, this is the same interface as that we used when we were installing modules. And so hopefully by now this is all old hat to you, right? We're going to right click. It's the link underneath here under the word downloads, and I'm going to use the tarball archive here. It's a right click. I'm going to copy link address. I'm going to go back to appearance, and I'm just going to right click and paste inside here. Okay, so that is a direct link to where the Marinelli theme files are stored on the Drupal server here. And then I'm going to go ahead and click install, and we'll see what happens. The next page, again, should look fairly, yeah, see, doesn't that look familiar? And look, the update manager says, yep, I was able to install this successfully. I've installed Marinelli. What are your next steps? Just like modules, you need to actually enable it. So I'm going to click on Enable Newly Added Themes. Because right here, if we actually go to the front page here, I'm going to go ahead and reload this, we see our page looks the same. Even though we've installed this new theme, it's not enabled yet. We need to actually enable it. So I'm going to scroll down, and we're going to see here, I actually, before I started the screencast, I went and I installed a bunch of other themes as well too, so we can cycle through some of these and see what they look like. But Marinelli, that's the one that we just installed, okay? And we've got two choices here. We've got enable and set default. What's the difference here? Well, we could enable this theme, but unless we set it as the default, it's not going to be the theme that shows up when people visit your site. So presumably you want to enable it so that you change the look of your site, right? So yeah, so we're going to click on enable and set default. I'm going to go ahead and click that, enable and set default. And my Drupal is thinking, is like, okay, I'm switching around all the theme template files, blah, 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 blah. Let's go take a look. As soon as that's done, we should refresh. It'll refresh this page, and we'll see. There we go. We see now that Marinelli is our default theme. Notice that Bartik is still enabled. You could disable it if you want to. Okay, I won't bother quite yet. You could disable it. It's not going to uninstall it. It's just going to toss it down here. And I actually think, you know what, why don't we wait until we actually know for a fact that we want to use this theme before we go and disable this, okay? And so this is the theme that we want. Let's go take a look. I'm going to go reload this, and let's see what happens. So it's going to reload this, and wow, our site looks completely different now, doesn't it? Wow, check this out. Okay, we've got, still the same content. Keep that in mind. Exactly the same content, okay? About us. This page still shows up. All right, that's still there. We still have Harris Institute, right? There's our link to Harris Institute. Let's go back here. There's a contact us page right here. But everything else is completely different. Okay, and then there's a slide down section here, and you're like, wow, what is this going on? Wow, okay. So see how just with installing a new theme, we completely changed the look of this. And of course, you would have to spend some time configuring this, okay? Because we have new menu areas, we would have to choose. We have to create menus and choose which menus are going to go where. This rotating banner right here, we'd have to find images and replace the images that are in here. But all of these settings, let's start by taking a look. Let's click on settings and see what's changed inside here. Okay, so we have all these settings here. We could get rid of the logo if we wanted to. Let's get rid of that. Whoa, we have way more settings down here. See that? Breadcrumb settings, layout settings. Do you want the content on the left and the right and the middle? What do you want? Do you want a fixed width? What do you want exactly? Primary menu settings. What kind of menu links do you want? All sorts of things. Stuff that is probably like well beyond the scope of this class. But if you play around with this, you'll start to understand the level of control you have over this. Take a look at this banner configuration. You can decide whether you want to use Marinelli banners and what kind of an effect do you want to fade the banner? Do you want it to scroll? What do you want to do? Do you want to show a title and description or not? How do you want this to work? Here, you could just go and you could upload, you could delete these images and you could put new images if you want to. You could change the title and the description for each of these images. Okay, you could decide where does it go to when you click on this image, where does it actually go to? Okay, all sorts of cool things like that. Is this visible on the front page? Is it visible on all pages? What happens here? So there's all sorts of things you can do with this. And we haven't even started looking at the block regions. Let's go take a look at the blocks here and let's see what's going on because we probably have different block regions now available to us, right? Let's click on Demonstrate Block Regions for Marinelli. And then we say, okay, so look, we've got a top bar up here, so that's a new block region. We didn't have that before. So if we wanted to put special information in our top bar that's only available when you use the slide button, you could do that. There's a search region. There's all sorts of things. Look at this. We've got over content, over node, highlight, over sidebars. You can have a content region or a block region that kind of spans the width of these two sidebars, and then the individual sidebars under the sidebar, under the content. We've got this utility menu over here in the footer. These are completely different than those other block regions that were available in Bartik. Okay, so you can configure all of that. Likewise, under structure, let's take a look at the menus that are available to us. This doesn't look any different, but if we go to settings over here, we see that we can choose what goes to the main links, what goes to the secondary links, and then you could use that in combination with the settings over here to determine what menus are going to go in what sections. So you could go over here to the primary menu settings and you could change what the mega menu. Where does the mega menu come from? They call that main section right here. This is called the mega menu. So lots of options, lots of different options available to you, and that's just looking at one theme. Let's try a couple different ones out, shall we? I've already installed these other ones, but let's go ahead and enable this one and set this one as a default, Blue Masters. Okay, and this is kind of fun to do. You don't want to get too carried away doing this, but let's go ahead and install and enable this one. Let's see what this looks like now. I'm just going to go ahead and reload this and see how much we've been able to change the look of this. Wow. Okay, this looks completely different. Our main menu's over on this side now. Okay, we've got this right here. This looks completely different. We've got a different thing down here. Okay, so all sorts of different things. So this looks different. Let's change something else. Let's go back and how about business? Let's go ahead and enable and set this as a default instead. And you'll notice, I think I'm going to disable some of these other ones pretty soon because it's going to get pretty junky here. We don't want to have too many themes enabled all at the same time. So we'll wait until this actually... There we go. We've done that. Let's go ahead and disable Blue Masters just for fun here. Okay. So this particular theme looks like it's got another slider image right there. Let's go ahead and reload this and see what happens when we install this or we enable this. Okay. Look at that. Looks way different. So this menu style is completely different as well too. Okay. So we can see that. Looks like we'd have to configure. If we went into the settings, I bet you we'd be able to configure. What can we configure here? Here we go. We can configure our slideshow here by going in here, putting the slide description, and you'd have to put the URL to the actual image right there too. So all sorts of things you can do to configure that. Let's go ahead and take a look at, how about one more? Let's have a look at corporate clean. Why not? Let's enable this and set that as the default and see how different this is going to look. Okay, let's go here, reload this page, see what it looks like. We're still on the About Us page. Let's actually go to the front page. I probably should have gone to the front page for the other one too. Here we go. Okay, so yet another layout. Okay, layout section. Where is our menu? Okay, our menu isn't anywhere. We actually would have to tell. Oh, look at that. Look at that nice slider there. We'd actually have to set up the menu somehow. Let's see what options are available here. Under settings. Oh, look at all these different colors here. The different color schemes, different color sets you can have. Okay. And then there we go. We've got all sorts of things here. There's the slideshow settings are right here. Okay, that's that. Let's go take a look at structure. I'm going to take a look at menus over here and see how we could go about setting the menus up. Source of the main link is the main menu right there. We'll go ahead and save that configuration. See what's going on here and where the menu is showing up. I'm not seeing it right now. But anyways, you can play around with this a little bit more. I'm going to go back and I'm going to switch this back to, let's go back to appearance. I'm going to switch it back to Marinelli because that looked like a fun one to play with. Let's say yeah, I think I'm going to, so to switch that back, all I need to do is go find it and then just go to set default. Because remember, it's the default one that shows up. Okay, just because it's enabled does not mean that it actually is working. So default is what we want here. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and I've decided, yeah, Marinelli is what I want. I'm going to disable Bartik. I'm going to disable business, disable corporate clean. I'm going to disable all of these. And that brings us back to just the basic, using Marinelli as our base theme here. Let's disable this one right here. And I think you get the picture, right? While that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and reload this, see what this looks like. And my server's being really slow today, but what can you do? There we go. Okay, looking nice. I'm going to click, oh, that brings me to the other page. I don't want that. About Us. There we go. That's nice. And we could control whether this slider shows up on every page and such. Yeah, I'm really digging this. This is cool. Let's disable corporate clean. We're going to leave 7 enabled because we want to have that available as our admin theme. Remember that, okay? There we go. So we have currently 2 enabled themes. We have Marinelli, we have 7. We could go ahead and, we can leave these here. That's perfectly fine. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and reload this and looking really nice. Nice kitty. Okay. Boy, have I covered everything? Is it possible that I've actually covered everything? You now know where to go to find themes. Okay, remember, go to the Drupal site and you go to project/themes. That's where you can search through various themes. Like I said, there are some paid themes available too, but this is a good place to start. Okay, and you know how to change the settings for themes. That's pretty much it for this crash course to Drupal. Is this everything there is to know about Drupal? Oh my goodness, no. There's way more to know about Drupal, but I think we've covered in all these last screencasts, we've covered enough to get you started, okay? Everything, you now know pretty much all the bases. We've looked at all of these different things. We learned about content types. We learned about all the stuff in here, blocks, content types, menus, taxonomy. We learned how to change the appearance of our site, how to alter that. We learned all about people and users, etc. We learned about installing new modules and how to, and we sort of have our heads wrapped around what you can use different modules for. And we spent some time in the configuration section here, configuring and running cron and understanding how to do some troubleshooting, basic troubleshooting and the like. In the next screencast, the final screencast, I'm going to give you a few resources for if you want to learn more about Drupal, what you should do. But really, nothing replaces just going in there and trying different things out. Don't try to build the ultimate Drupal website. Right, your first Drupal website is not going to be the best Drupal site you ever create, but it is going to be a fantastic learning experience for you. Drupal is a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Drupal, so I encourage you to just play around with it, and you're really only limited by your imagination. So have fun with that. I'll see you in the next and final screencast, but I hope that that's been helpful so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.